So I think it's much less about rejuvenation and more about just knowing ourselves and giving ourselves, I guess, to use that metaphor, the soil and the light to grow. And it's interesting to note that it's not just growth. In order to grow and to change, there's also a dying back that's necessary. So we're going to lose things. That's not so bad if you understand that that helps us to change and to move in a more adaptive direction. So this applies to pandemic, but it also applies to the new and scary environments that we find ourselves in with, say, climate change and political change. So it is about partially accepting and partially receiving the stimulus to change and to grow. Growth does imply change, but the other thing is don't let the pressure for change override your instinct. So people will say things need to change, and it's like, well, maybe they need to change, but not right now for me. I'm happy. That's okay. That's okay to do as well. The other thing that you mentioned about hope is that I guess I see hope as one of the many things that helps people to keep growing. It's one of the lights, to use that metaphor. There are many others. They're called names like story, creativity, care, and connectedness. So I think that all of these things we've been talking about today are different lights that can help each of us to grow, to change, to die back if necessary, and to emerge anew.
I am interested in the word rejuvenation because I think its roots are in becoming young again, and what I've learned over the last couple of years is that I'm quite grateful to be becoming older. Exactly as Renee says, you know, it's a journey, and you have to be open to whatever it brings. And there are some great advantages to getting older. What does it look like to travel this journey well? I think I'm really reliant on friendship and solidarity, you know, and by friendship, I mean the people who help me to grow, especially the people who are not necessarily like me, who tell stories from their place that challenge me, that change me. And I think that whilst challenging and tiring is also really very exciting. And so we've been through this, we're going through this remarkable experience as a country and as cities and communities. And I really hope that we can be open to it. And so if we're talking about hope, it's not finished. So there's a possibility for something else to happen. And in that space, I'm really interested in the space where we could do something creative together. You know, the space at the centre of Te Whare Tapawhā, where health happens. You know, we, as Renee said, you know, we have a very bad history in this country of not valuing everyone's health and everyone's potential and everyone's mana. And so this next step of the journey, I am hopeful that we can, you know, because it hasn't ended yet, there is hope. You know, the hope that sustains me, which is desperate and urgent hope, is every life we can save. You know, we're going into community spread, and far too many people have died across the world, and far too many people, even albeit a relatively small number in this country, those are lives that we should not have lost. And every life saved, which we'll never be able to measure, is something to hope for, isn't it? That's what drives me. But I'm grateful for the metaphor of the choir, because I know I'm not the only one, and I've got no illusions about my individual power in that. But I have a lot of hope in the collective power of these peoples in this set of islands. Well, the whakatauki that has been precious to us in our conversations in Otatahi is he moana puki puki e ekanea e te waka. Bonnie, you will say that much better than I, but I love the image of navigating a vessel navigating together choppy seas. You know, it feels like a hopeful thing. And if I go back to my own culture, there's a very old English prayer, oh Lord, be good to me. The sea is so wide and my boat is so small. You know, so that idea that we are navigating a small craft of friends on a difficult sea, I find that an encouraging metaphor. I hope you do too. I hope someone's watching this and I hope it's useful.
I spend a lot of time watching children grow through, or imagining them grow as well through their life course. And a concept that we have is of an individual who's cradled within their family, who's then cradled within their society and their community, and then finally the environment, and how that surrounds them, and the different layers change over time. You know, they grow or they shrink over time depending on the point at which of life at which that individual is. But then when I connect to my Cantonese culture, which I'm connecting to, and when I come across other cultures, you know, especially the Maori culture that we've been speaking of today, I understand that actually my story as an individual is also continuous with the story of my ancestors before me, and also my children and their children who are yet to be imagined. And so we are this continuous strand, you know, whether we're in it, we're part of that woven strand or not, we are part of a strand. And we are part of other strands that are interweaving and affecting each other's trajectories. And when you feel part of that unified strand, part of that unified woven cloth that extends through space and time, I think it does feel a little bit comforting. It feels like if I can just do my strand well, maybe I'll be strong for the whole cloth. Maybe I'll give it a bit of color that it needs at that point. And I really love that idea, and I think it comforts me.
Taka taka te ha ki runga. Taka taka te ha ki raro.